This was said in 1910, as I said, system of national education. The true basis of education is the study of human mind. This is exactly what Swami Vivekananda also said. Any system of education founded on theories of academic perfection, which ignores the instrument of study, is more likely to hamper and impair intellectual growth than to produce a perfect and perfectly equipped mind. For the educationist to do, not with the dead material like the artist or the sculptor, but with an infinitely subtle, sensitive organism. He cannot shape educational masterpiece out of human wood or stone. He has to work elusive substance of mind and respect the limits of imposed by the fragile human body. So this is where it's absolutely interesting to note how beautifully Sri Aurobindo talks about it. Sometimes we talk, the teachers are not similar to sculptors. Sometimes we compare teachers to sculptors. Sculptors bring out the murtis, the idols, the expressions, whatever it is, from a stone which is raw. It takes the beating. The stone doesn't respond to you. It listens to what the sculptor says. It obeys what the sculptor's beatings are. But that is, dear friends, that is not the case with a teacher. Every child is a very complex, sensitive organism. And when a teacher says something, it responds. The child responds. The child has got its own inner nature, its swabhava, its swarupa, its swadharma. All this have to be taken into consideration. If a teacher doesn't take that into consideration, it is impossible for us to bring out a masterpiece in the field of education. A complete system of education should actually encompass these 8 or 9 values. The training of the human mind should take place. The powers of the mind that are included, all these things we are aware of it, but we are not aware as to how these things have to be actually brought into our 8 hours or 8 periods a day in the classroom. So the powers of mind, the values and virtues have to be taught in real sense. Learn, assimilate and recall. Training of senses, training of faculties, science of living. 3 principles of integral education, individual, national and universal levels of education should be imparted and should be the integral part of system of education. Now, when we come to the learning process itself, it is very important for us to understand the learning process. What exactly is the learning process? The learning process involves, we all know that the first is the absorption part of it, and then the second is the assimilation part of it, and then the third one is the re-expression part of it. It first, when it learns, it absorbs. It absorbs whatever you have taught him. Let us say that 40 minutes a teacher teaches this particular subject, child absorbs. And many times we have seen, and I know, at many times what happens is teachers abruptly cut at the end of 40 minutes. Today the bell is rang and then we will talk about it tomorrow. This abrupt conclusion is incorrect, because the child, the learning absorption capability itself is not completed. Now after this, the brain requires a different activity or a fraction of a second or few seconds for it to actually assimilate. Let us not get into the different modes of layers of mind, but actually after absorption, it actually, the brain stores that whatever is absorbed into a different file. And it takes few seconds, it takes few minutes in case of slow learners. So this absorption period should be allowed. This assimilation period should be allowed. And after that, there has to be a re-expression which is to be given to a child. You divide those periods. You pick one core subject and allow it, and then let the next subject be a very light subject. You can introduce art, craft, any other, the lighter subject to be introduced, so that the core hardcore subject, what you want the child to learn, gets assimilated, and in that period re-expression becomes absolutely important. This learning process, assimilation and re-expression, these three steps become absolutely important to be understood by everybody. So what exactly is the integral education? Principal integral education is, it is the development of the physical faculties, it is then the emotional, that is the vital faculties, then the development of the intellectual and the spiritual faculties and the mind faculties. So these are the five important aspects. That is the fivefold education, fivefold development, what we call, is also gets expressed in the national education policy, what they call it as Panchakosha Vikasa. So these fivefold development is an absolutely important. And what is the physical education? Physical education, what is important for any teacher is to understand what exactly physical education is. Physical education is just not playing big games or mass PT or just yogasanas. What is the idea? Because the children we are dealing with are actually absolutely sensitive, complex organisms. They are humongous, beautiful. One of the most beautiful creation in the universe are these kids. And what is the purpose of physical education? Physical education should give them the balance. We should teach them the balance, regularity, fine motor movements, discipline, endurance, suppleness, independency, basic language development, interpersonal relations, the body movements, hygiene, flexibility, plasticity, strength, gross motor movements, and then coordination. When all our body movements, if a dancer has to perform to his peak or her peak, all her body movements to coordinate, and then they should become integrally conscious of every body cell, they should be intricately woven between themselves, then only a beautiful dance performance is possible. And that is why physical education is actually an absolutely important thing, and physical body is the basis and the foundation of our entire life, and which plays a very critical role. Now, what is vital education? Vital education is nothing but our emotions. And there are three levels of vital education in the early childhood, and then it all influences. Children, they have emotional integration, and then they have social integration, and then personal integration. And in case of emotional integration, actually it becomes the ability to express, ability to tune into emotional play, to listen, and to get connected. For example, we get connected to a particular song, the tears roll down, that is an emotional integration. And that emotional connectivity, developing that faculty becomes absolutely important. Then the social integration, ability to sustain relation, ability to interact, ability to form and participate in group activities, to follow others, to lead others. We don't teach failures at all. How should they take failures? Competitions are necessary. Conduct competitions, but please do not conduct competitions and give prizes as first, second prize, third prize, and discourage all the children. Today is that day's child. Conduct the competitions, but give prizes such as the excellence prize, the best prize, for the best efforts prize, and the consolatory prizes also to be given, appreciating all children. So this way, we actually try to develop their integral, the vital strength, the emotional strength we can probably develop. Then the personal integration, the will, the confidence in a child, the self-esteem to express gratification, which is not there at all. Failure, we talked about it. And then to set one's goals. We don't teach the children to set their goals. Only parents decide what the children want. One of the biggest mistakes parents is doing that. That is precisely the reason education, in the entire education policy, in the education system, teachers are not the only stakeholders in the education process. Teachers and parents, both of them become an absolutely important stakeholders in the education process. That is reason the entire your parent-teachers meetings should be so well designed that the teachers understand and parents understand teachers, and there should not be any conflict in the role models.